So what we're going to talk about today at the Rama Institute in New York City. Isn't it great to be in New York City? How many people don't live here? Isn't it fun coming into New York City? Once you get, past the airport part and all that part, but you get into the city, there's such an energy here. It's fantastic. What we're going to talk about tonight on this 27th day of October 2018 is how we can experience a more full and more rich version of each of our lives, and as we just did in that exercise, we're writing down some things that are blocking us, some things that are in our way, and that is really what the problem is. If there's ever a problem in any of our lives, it's not that there's not enough love in the world. It's not that there is no God, or that there is no universal intelligence or great spirit or higher power. It's that there's things in my being that block me from having that experience, period. What those things are vary from moment to moment and during the different seasons of life. I talked to a friend of mine a couple hours ago in LA. I don't answer my phone. I'm one of those people. I don't do phones. Even if it's like my best friend, I'm like, duh, don't answer. What is that? Like decline? That's my button. Decline. Just like, call. You don't text before you call. Are you insane? So my friend called, and it was a missed call because I ignored it, of course. And then I thought, I better call him back. I felt guilty. And my intuition was right. I called him back, and a dear friend of his had died. A friend of his that was terribly disabled for a long, long time in a wheelchair and all that. And he, had a complication, went in the hospital, supposed to be fixed, came out. Mom found the guy, probably in his 30s, dead. He's just gone, peaced out. And so my friend David was just devastated. And, he said, I'm doing my best to know that there's a reason for everything, and that, he's not suffering anymore, and all of the things that you think you're supposed to think and feel and in order to contextualize pain. And so in the moment when I was speaking to him, hey, by the way, that iPad is a little bit crooked. It needs to go down on that side about ½ an inch. Thank you. People that watch the Facebook Lives are very finicky. A little bit more. Yeah, there you go. A little bit more. I did one a couple days ago, or maybe was that yesterday? Anyway, my mic broke when I do the live streaming on my, on the Facebook iPad there, and the mic had broken, and people were like, this sucks, you can't hear. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm doing an interview. So David is feeling this emotional pain, this loss. And from a very detached place, quite obviously, or at least probably what he's experiencing is the loss of an attachment. There's something there that he feels he needs, that he's experienced before, that he wants to continue to experience, and enjoying that person's company, or the experience of that person's love or appreciation, or the memories, or the history. And so what's blocking him in that moment from having the amazing time that I'm having? I'm fine. No one I know just passed away, right? So what's the difference between he and I in that moment? The difference is that he's feeling the uncomfortable sensations in his body that we call feelings and that we call emotions. And that's literally the only thing that's different between his day and my day. Because no matter how you try to intellectually wrap your head around something that devastating, there's no way to avoid the feeling. And going through the feeling is the fastest way to get past the feeling. And so oftentimes, humans like me spend a lot of time and energy avoiding just having an uncomfortable sensation in my body. Because something sad happened, or because I've lost something from my grasp, something that I'm attached to, even a healthy attachment. There's nothing wrong with being attached to someone you love. It just can cause you to suffer a lot if you don't identify when the attachment gets taken away that that's what it was. And so, being the best friend that I could, I said what you say. There's a purpose to everything, David, and we don't understand what that purpose is when we're so close to it. You know, you're in Los Angeles, you're looking at your phone, you're talking to me, you're in your apartment. Your whole world right now is centered around the sensation that you have in your body at this loss. Why it's not affecting me in the same way is because I'm completely zoomed out and don't have that attachment. It's not someone I love. But trust me, very soon, many that I love and even myself will be gone from this particular form too. So he's crying. And I didn't say, oh man, it's going to be all right, don't cry. I said, cry more. Actually, what I told him was, well, he was in his car, so he couldn't do this, but I said, you know, maybe when you get home, you could take like a baseball bat if you have one, you know, for home protection or the love of sport, or even a broomstick. And I said, man, just go beat the shit out of your bed or a pillow, or just bury your head in a pillow and just scream and just tell God how pissed you are that he made your friend suffer so long and then finally took him away. Get it out and experience as much discomfort as you possibly can, as quickly as you can, so you can get back to being of service to the people that are still here. So what's blocking David from having the giddy, fun New York day that I'm having is sensations that he doesn't want to feel. And trust me, I don't like feeling them either. I have all kinds of stuff around all the time that I can use, like many of us, to make sure that I don't feel anything except just a low hum. You know, Instagram's great for that. It's like, I'm feeling a little sensation. Where's my phone? Okay. Feeling gone. Now there's the feeling of dopamine. Couple of likes. A scary email. Cortisol. Oh, it wasn't scary. They do want to hire me. Oh, the check's coming. Dopamine. You know, I mean, this is our life. So whether it's an uncomfortable sensation that we're experiencing, which could be the loss, it could be pain, it could be a broken heart, or outside of a feeling, something that's going on in the mind. Where my mind is, I gotta make sure I have my timer on here, where my mind is forming an opinion about something that's happened or something that is happening, and my mind is closed. Meaning my mind has made a snap judgment, it's made a determination that whatever it is that I'm experiencing in reality is wrong, which could be something as heavy as a loss like that. And trust me, I'm not using that loss as an example to make light of it. Man, I'm there for my friend, and I can only imagine what that's like. I've actually never really lost someone that I've been terribly close to, knock on wood. But I know what it's like to feel pain, like all of us do, you know. Sometimes the pain has different causes and different reasons. But aside from the physical sensation in the body that happens when there's an injury, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, I find that most of the pain that we experience actually comes from just having an opinion in our mind. You know, the mind says that's wrong, whatever it is. And the mind says that's wrong, then it magnetizes other thoughts to prove that that's wrong. This addictive thinking, this addiction to looking at what's wrong. Like right now as I sit here, I'm so grateful they have such an amazing PA. You know, when I play the music, it sounds very rich. My voice sounds bassy. I'm into it. But what my mind hears, if I'm not aware of it, is do you guys hear that? Right? Sorry, I just ruined your night for you. And that's a really great metaphor for what it's like to experience life as a person. You know, there's always different sort of perspectives that we can have on whatever reality is. And those perspectives completely and entirely determine how comfortable we feel in our body and the experience that we're having. The mind is so powerful, but you can only harness power of the mind if you learn how to become a witness of what the mind's doing. So my friend David that I talked to today, he's a practitioner of meditation. He's a studier of spiritual texts. He's a man that lives in contemplation. He's a man that has a desire to awaken. And what he indicated to me was, I'm feeling this pain in my body. It won't go away. And I'm watching my mind find fault and argue with the present reality. And when my mind says, this is wrong, there is no God, whatever the thoughts were that he was experiencing, it actually makes me hurt worse. So in a funny way, we really do have a choice in terms of how much we want to suffer. Because it's absolutely inevitable that there will be loss, there will be death, there will be flat tires, there might even be a DUI and a trip to jail, a couple divorces, you know, an unfortunate birth defect, a loss of a limb. This is what it's like to be incarnated. The difference between a life that's consumed by pain and suffering is all determined by one's thought about it. You know, and it's so simple that it's dumb. It's like, how can the solution to life's ills be that simple? It's just, you know, at one point the mind will go like, yeah, but you don't understand my problem. You're not watching the news, Luke, clearly. You know, you must not be aware of the evils in the world. And to the contrary, I'm very, very aware. And I enjoy it all. I think it's amazing to watch humans on Earth go through the different cycles of learning that they have to go through as a species. I mean, if you can really, really zoom out, I'm talking like Tesla spaceship, zooming out in your little Corvette, looking down at the Earth of all of the humans toiling around and going to war and having different races and colors, and they're fighting with each other. And I mean, it's like watching probably a kindergarten class or going to like a puppy daycare and looking through the window and watching, you know, peeping, pooing, sniffing, biting, barking, fighting. That's mankind on a whole. To zoom out and observe one's opinions about the microcosm of day-to-day life here, oh man, if you don't have that ability, you're going to suffer, because pain is inevitable. There's just no way around feeling super shitty sometimes. And the mind will say, well, if there is a God, if there is this loving, benevolent creator, then why isn't everything just awesome all the time? Right? Why can't it just be unicorns and rainbows and kumbaya? You know, why would a God create a world where there's so much pain and there's so much suffering? Do you want to know the answer? You tell me. No, the answer is this, is that it gives us the opportunity to learn the power of choice, and in order to frame our own reality, to actually create our own reality by how we're experiencing and how we're interpreting what appears to be reality. And that requires a lot of humility for a human like us, because we have to admit that we really don't know. You know, when you watch all the pundits in politics, everyone's an expert. Everyone is more righteous than the other person. Everyone's point of view is more virtuous than the other. You know, all the virtue signaling, all the self-righteousness. It's like, no one has a goddamn clue what's going on, truly. We're all just fighting for our opinions and fighting for our positions, and most of us are not even aware that what's doing the fighting isn't even us. It's this thing that forms little opinions and attachments about the way we think it is. I arrived in New York City from Los Angeles last Tuesday night, about 6 p.m. And I booked my room, as I do, very far in advance. It's right around the corner. Great hotel. It's called the Ludlow, by the way, if you ever want to stay in New York City. It's pretty sweet. I'm enjoying it. But one of the reasons that I selected that hotel was because it was close to Rama, and I wanted to make sure I could do a lot of yoga, and that I would be able to walk here, because normally I forget a bunch of stuff. I don't think I did tonight, but I don't want to be across town. So I booked my room, and I thought, man, I'm going to be out in New York. I'm going to do this event at Whitma. I'm going to do my event at Rama. And I want to record a bunch of podcasts while I'm here, because I like to do them in person, and there's so many fantastic people in New York City. I mean, it's just like, I could record 5 people a day for the next 10 years and never run out of fascinating, brilliant people to interview. So I, shopped for hotels, found this one on a recommendation, and they have these great rooms with these big terraces, the one that I did soggy cryotherapy yoga on today. And I was going to record all my podcasts out there. I had it all planned out. I mean, I looked at the square footage. I thought where I'm going to put my live streaming cameras and my YouTube camera and my microphone and all of my gear. And I just was set. I'm good. Like, what could possibly go wrong? And I land, and I walk out with my luggage at JFK, and it's like 45 degrees, or whatever it was. And I thought, it's probably just because we're out at the airport. I'm sure when I get in the city, it'll be warm and muggy like it was last October when I was here recording all over the place, outdoors and whatnot. Get to my hotel, and lo and behold, it's still 45 degrees and windy and a little wet. And so there would have been a time in my life where my mind would have produced the thought, see, no matter what I do, I always fail. See, God hates me. See, why didn't the idiots that designed this hotel put a retractable roof on every terrace? Why wouldn't you do that? How come I'm not rich enough to just get whatever goddamn room I want with like a spare bedroom to go record in? Maybe it's because I'm not smart enough. Maybe it's because I'm unlucky. Maybe it's because God hates me. And then the fears. What are people going to think when I invite them over to record and I have this tiny ass hotel room? They're going to think I don't have any money. They're going to think I'm a loser, and they're not going to like me. What if I'm actually just unable to do what I set to do, and I have all these appointments? On every appointment in my calendar said the Ludlow Hotel. And that's where they're all coming to, with the exception of a couple people that I had to go visit in their location. Trying to think of other things that the mind could do, which mine really didn't do, thankfully this time, but would have throughout most of my life. Maybe more than anything, I just would have been freaking pissed. There would have been a time in my life where I went into the room, opened up the thing, and went, I don't want to swear that much on my podcast anymore in case this does go out. Maybe I shouldn't even swear that much in a sacred yoga studio, but be like, I can't think of appropriate words that take the place of the F word. But I would just be like, you know what I'd be? I'd be F my life, and I'd probably get super pissed off. And I might have even punched a wall and hurt my own hand, or thrown my suitcase across the room, or threw my own $800 stupid phone on the ground, or just had a temper tantrum as a man in my 20s or 30s, and maybe on a bad day in my 40s. But because I have relentlessly practiced and studied what I'm sharing with you guys right now for a long ass time, I, rather than going to the negativity bias and painting that reality with a narrative and a story that said, this is bad. I hereby judge this bad. I hereby judge this as sucking wholeheartedly. F my life. Why do I even try to do stuff? Because look what always happens to me. What I thought was, of course, like, well, I got to think of a couple options, a couple solutions. But as I started to become more solution-oriented rather than self-pity, anger, resentment, rather than fighting reality, I thought, oh, this is going to be awesome. Now I'm going to be able to record a bunch of podcasts in a bunch of different locations. This is going to be sick. I'll do a couple in the room. I'll try it here. I'll go down to the lobby. I'll do some there. I'll travel to people's homes or places of business, whatever the case may be. And it's just going to be awesome because I'm going to have variety and some excitement and an opportunity to have a different experience than I planned for. And then having an open enough mind to go, you know what, maybe it wouldn't have even worked out there anyway, and I'm actually being saved by the 45 degrees in the rain because it's probably too goddamn loud on that terrace, and it was an error in calculation to begin with. And those people, like some of you listening to the podcast, would hear a lot of woo, 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 woo in the middle of someone's profundity on the show. And that's a really surface level example of transmutation, you know, of alchemy, of turning feces into gold. But you can do that with the big stuff too. The only difference is, like my friend David, you have to feel what's there because there's a reality to what's there. There wasn't a lot of feeling about like, oh, I'm inconvenienced. I have a beautiful hotel and I got to like change my plan a little, you know. There wasn't a lot of feeling there. It was a bit disappointing, you know. I was a bit discouraged. But the same process applies even when it's a big thing. It's not believing the fake news that my mind has about the event that's happening. I don't know anything about Shakespeare except this. He said, apparently, there's no such thing as good or bad, only thinking makes it so. There's no such thing as good or bad, only thinking makes it so. If you're someone who's very left brain dominant and intellectual, right when I said that, your mind went, that's bullshit. There are bad things, probably. Did anyone's mind think that? It's okay. It's good if it did. No? You guys are all enlightened. Excellent. Then we can move faster. The events that transpire in one's life and out in the world are not good or bad. They just are what they are. Until and unless the mind does what it does and forms an opinion about it and puts it on the downside or the upside. Mind says that's bad. I don't like the tapestry. It should be blue. The tapestry is orange. That's the reality. Whether or not it should be is based to my mind, is based on my mind, right? It's based on the opinion that I have. Without learning how to manage one's physical space and one's energy like we just did, running through a couple Kundalini yoga exercises, without moving that energy, without creating space, creating stillness through practices like meditation of whatever kind and contemplation, I would dare say that it's impossible to have authority over what direction the mind goes when it determines it's time to make a judgment about the present reality. The reason why is because life comes at you too fast, man. It comes too fast. You open the hotel room door and the mind is ready. It's just ready to pounce. It's going, no, this is wrong, that's wrong, 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 wrong. And it's just ready for a fight. It wants to chew on that, you know? It's so quick. It's so quick when you're walking around New York City and you're a little too close to the curb and the taxi hits the pothole and, you know, there goes your designer jeans or shoes, you know, that are now covered in mud. That's how fast the mind goes, wrong, wrong, wrong. Does it not? For some of us, like this one, not so much anymore. Little by little, like I said, I'm making some progress on this. But for most of my life, my mind was set on the dark side, no Luke Skywalker pun intended, just automatically all the time. Literally. I mean, it's hard. It's almost hard for me to imagine what it used to be like. But in almost every scenario that I would enter into, I would immediately look for what was wrong with that situation. And I would often verbalize it. You know, it's like I'd walk in here and be like, why are those two lights off right in the middle? What? And then the one fan, why is that light off? That's dumb. I mean, just arbitrary shit like that. But then also, when I was unaware that that's what I was doing and that's how I was living, that I was painting with like brown poop paint my reality all the time, just flinging poopies on all reality. It's not just like I could choose, like, yeah, I really don't like the two lights being off, but everything else is amazing. The way my mind has the propensity to operate is this. If I don't see that first one, it's like an enemy soldier that entrenches itself in a foxhole. It digs in, and it's in. And then that thought form, that negativity's there. It's chewing on stuff. And then it starts to kind of branch out and look for other things to pull into that circle of hate. You know what? I really didn't like how that girl talked to me today at the coffee shop. I found that to be very disrespectful. You know what I think I need to do is go over there and have a word with her. Here's what I'm going to say. Dun, 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 dun. You know, that thing. But it starts with the one thought. Hi, Stretchy. That looks fun. It starts with the one thought. And without the ability to have distance between the thoughts, to have space between the mind and the reality, capital T, capital R, I'm going to be trapped in that cycle for the rest of this lifetime and probably many more to follow. The good news is, we're incarnated at a time where there's a lot of very useful information out there and useful people that are exploring what it's like to not live under the control of a mind that's wrong about almost everything, almost all the time. And if you don't hear it from me tonight, if you're open and receptive to the possibilities of finding that gap of separation and living in that gap more of the time, there's plenty of other people that have found the gap too. It's amazing to see what's happened in the past 22 years that I've been exploring this way of experiencing life and all the different practices and modalities and teachings that I have. We are in a massive, massive awakening. Mankind is in the most profound spiritual awakening at this time. If you don't turn on your TV, you'll start to become aware of that. And if you gravitate to locations such as this, where more of those people that are having that experience are gathered, you'll find there's more and more and more of us. I mean, I'll be somewhere like the Whitma event I was at a couple of nights ago, and every conversation I had, and many of those conversations were with people that were quite younger than me. You know, I'm 2 nights on the eve of turning 48 years old, and I know we're celebrating my birthday tonight, or at least I am, because Mondays are boring, as we discussed. Well, then there's an opinion of the mind. Mondays are boring, right? Maybe they're not. Maybe Mondays are awesome because everyone's inside. But I'm talking to people, and yeah, I don't go around like, how old are you? You sound kind of wise. But, you know, looking in someone's eyes, I'm going, this person's probably 22, 25, 27, and they get all this. They don't even need to hear what I'm saying right now. I mean, we all kind of do, because we all need to be reminded, because the world's still out there when we walk out the door. But I'm just looking at people going, what? Am I in a parallel universe? How did this happen? 15 years ago, 18 years ago, you know, reading books like The Power of Now. I mean, no one had that freaking book. Me and like a couple friends had it. No one knew who Eckhart Tolle was, or, I mean, God, you can't even keep track of the spiritual teachers now because they're so numerous and they're so varied. You know, there's so many different ways that you can hear the same message. So many podcasts, so many audiobooks, so much wisdom is being shared. I don't even know where these people are finding it, but I have the awareness that, man, a lot of people are waking up. And all that's required is admitting that You don't know as much as you think you know. And keeping that alive. You know, sitting here tonight, I'm like on a piece of wood that's 3 or 4 feet taller than you guys. And so I'm the one that has a microphone and I'm sitting up here, but God damn, I have so much to learn at the same time. So it's that balance of accepting and actualizing your own realization, but always keeping it wide open for the next experience, you know, to leave here and sit down with the 21-year-old at the bus stop that blows your mind with the amount of wisdom they have and the awakening that they're having. But all of the wisdom and all of the awakenings all say the same thing. They all essentially say, there's no good or bad, only thinking makes it so. They all say that there's no lack of love in the world. There's just a lot of blocks preventing us from experiencing it. They all say that there is a loving, creative consciousness throughout the universe that does in fact exist, but there are things within us individually that block our experience of that. Years ago, I said to a spiritual teacher that I had at a time that I'm very grateful for about 10 years, very unassuming spiritual teacher that rode a Harley and smoked cigars. And like my friend David today, I was going through a really hard time, and I said to my teacher, my guru on a Harley, that I couldn't find God. I couldn't reconcile the pain of living and what I was talking about earlier. That's like, how can there be this God thing and then that? Nuclear bombs, Holocaust, rapists, pedophiles. Like, how do you explain all that? I can't find God. God won't help me. You know, it's like I'm in pain. So what do? I ask whatever created me, God, will you help me just relieve this pain? I feel horrible. How can you stop this? And then there's no answer. The pain doesn't stop. And so I asked my teacher, you know, well, how do I find God? Like, where's God? There's been times when I feel it and things are going well and I feel like I have some sense of reality and I'm experiencing positive emotions and love and some degree of success in different areas of my life. And then something happens and just poof, it's gone. And my teacher said, Luke, if you can't find God, guess who moved? And the answer is, it wasn't God. You know, the answer is the mind forms opinions about things, and the sensations come over the body, the feelings come over the body, and that is really uncomfortable, and I want to get out of it. So I drink, I do drugs, I do things that feel good for the moment. Well, I mean, I don't do that now, but you know, going back to Instagram or whatever vices we each have, I do those things to numb the pain, but then I come back to the problem and we're at the problem again, you know, because I haven't been able to identify that the problem is the perception that I have of my experience, not the experience itself. See, it's not what's happening, it's my opinion about what's happening that makes me suffer. This is it. That's it. My opinion about war makes me suffer. Do I like war? Does that mean I got to go to war to support wars, cause more wars? No, man. I do everything I can to increase the peace. 24/7. That's what my whole life is about. But I also don't sit around whining about the fact that there's war. Because I zoom out and I go, okay. There's less war than there used to be. There's less slavery than there used to be. There's probably less rapes than there used to be. See what I mean? I mean, we're talking about eons. We're going very slowly as a species. We're kind of in molasses. But if you really look at the arc of mankind over history, we are ever so slowly becoming less barbaric as time goes on, despite appearances. But if you really study history, I mean, even slavery was an upgrade from the Inquisition and the Vikings. They just come and slaughter everyone. If you're enslaved, that's actually a step up from just being hatcheted to death and cut into bits. And all of that is totally up to how you frame it and how you contextualize it. It's the closed mind that locks me into my opinions about things. And those opinions are not only erroneous and false the vast majority of the time, but they're also very painful. They're the ideas about things that make me hurt inside. They close my heart. They make me feel the pain. But in one sense, many of us become addicted to that pain. Do we not? I mean, in a way, there's like this certain pleasure in feeling sorry for yourself. There's a pleasure on a lower base level of really hating someone. I'm not just talking like, I'm kind of pissed at that person, but like, oh, if I could get away with it, what I would do to that person. There's a certain morose satisfaction in that to the lower self. But in nights like tonight, with people like you, we can step back and we can get a little bit of perspective to see that I have options, that I can observe when I start to enjoy the juice that I get out of hatred, the juice that I get out of fear, the juice that I get out of feeling sorry for myself. The false sense of safety and security that I get from closing my heart and withdrawing, pulling back. I'm not going to admit I was wrong. I'm going to win the argument. Until you realize that it feels much better to be free than to be right, And so, little by little, in tiny, tiny steps and tiny increments, as we go through life, we have the opportunity, as these events kind of fire at us. We're sort of in this little body of a spaceship, and we're going through space and time, walking the streets, doing the emails, going to work, we're in our car, we're on the train, we're on the plane, we're moving, we're out there, and things are coming at us. We have a choice to paint those experiences whatever color we want as they come in. And this is the ultimate gift of the grace of God that created us. It's called free will. And in my life, this is what makes up for all of the things that I don't think should be happening. Because if those things weren't there, I wouldn't have the opportunity to learn how to change the way that I see them. In other words, if I incarnated and came to Earth and it was Shangri-La, it'd be very difficult to evolve and grow, would it not? If there was only light, what do you do? I'm light. Like, what? No. I need to learn how to become a spiritual warrior. I need to learn how to transmute darkness, how to transmute evil, how to change myself. Get along with the stepmom, get along with the mother-in-law, get along with the little brother, like start in the immediate. So many of us are trying to solve the world's problems, and we haven't forgiven Uncle Harry yet. You know what I'm saying? Nothing against social justice and people that are out there doing good in the world. I'm all for it, but damn, there's so much work to be done internally. Then the positive reverberation becomes automatic. I crap you not. A lot of the time, when I'm out doing my Luke thing in the world, I feel this immense, deeply profound sense of love for everyone that I see. And it's not because of who they are, it's because of what they are. It's because they're me. In the coffee shop, in the bank. Especially when you get a parking ticket. That's the best. How are you today? Man, thank you so much for keeping us safe. Keeping those streets organized. Man, good job. Those are a little more challenging. when the blocks are removed, the love is revealed. The love isn't missing from my heart on one day, and then the next day I go out and I'm able to experience the love, not just of people, and not even in a, I mean, definitely not in a romantic sense, but not even in like a human-to-human sense, just an unconditional blanket love for everything in this plane of reality, including the embodied souls that happen to be around. Does that make sense? See, that love is always there. It's always present. That's the highest love. That's not a love, oh, I love you, baby, we're high school sweethearts, kissy, kissy love, romantic love. That's a level of love. That's great love. That's entry-level love. I'm talking about the love for the things that are hard to love. That's the high love. That's the highest love. That's a love that doesn't have conditions. Well, I could love the street if X, Y, and Z were different. I could love my mom if X, Y, and Z were different. I could love you if you just stop doing that one thing you do. I'll love you. Deal? If it just wasn't so cold and rainy in New York right now, this would be awesome. I would love it here. But I'm sorry, I can't love it because there's no love. No, what there is there's an idea that rain sucks that's covering the love that I've been experiencing here. I walk around, I mean, not barefoot. I have my little mandals. People make fun of me a lot. It's good for my ego. They're called earth runners. They're actually quite awesome. They ground you electrically to the earth, which is quite beneficial. It's another talk. The first few days I'm here, it's kind of cold, it's a little wet, a little rainy. I'm walking around in my sandals. People kind of stare at me. They clown on me. I'm cool with that. My feet were cold as hell. People kept asking me, aren't your feet cold? I was like, yeah, they're freezing. It's the best. It's amazing. And they look at me like, okay. What edible did you just wolf down? No edibles. I'm high on life, man. I'm high on life because I'm learning how to change my perception of the reality that I'm experiencing. And so are you guys. That said, I'm also not an idiot. And when it really started raining, I put on some shoes and socks. So I thought, well, I could be a little more comfortable. And then I loved that. This is, of course, much easier to grasp and utilize when everything's kind of chill. You know, right now in my life, subjectively, personally, there's no major fires that I need to put out, right? You guys seem to be present, enjoying yourself to a relative degree. There's no tomatoes flying at the gong behind me. We're cool. We're safe for right now. No bad news from back home. My dog Cookie's cool. I'm getting videos, So right now it's like, yeah, I love everything all the time, man. I mean, that's kind of the California way, really. It might be a California thing. You guys might be SOL, actually. No, not really. It helps, though. Life's easier there in many ways. But practicing with the little things like wet, cold feet over time, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, makes the email of rejection much easier to reframe. Makes the loss of a relationship much easier to reframe. Makes being right way less important. It's so fun to be not agreeing with someone and just go, you know what? You're probably right. But not in that way where you're being a smartass, not the precocious, oh, no, yeah, no, you're totally right. Yeah, yeah, oh, no, what you said, yeah. Not that. Not fake-ass acquiescing. Real acquiescing, going, you know what? I totally think I'm right, but where I'm getting my information is up here. This thing is not very reliable. There's a greater source of information that this thing acts as an antenna for. There is the all-knowing. There is an infinite reservoir of wisdom and truth available, and at times You can use this thing as a tuning fork and get some of that. Hopefully that's happening a little bit tonight for the benefit of all of us in the room. But damn, 90% of the time, this thing's just like, it's not reliable. So perhaps we have a disagreement about whatever or whomever. Oh, what a good feeling to be able to go, you know what? I'd rather experience love right now than experience that little jolt of, I'm right. You know, I fucking won. Kenny Powers, you fucking out. Those of you that laughed, word. I told myself I was going to swear less. God, sometimes there's just no way to express yourself. I'm sorry. People sometimes complain when they listen to my podcast, and I'm like, I hear you. You have kids in the car. I know. I want kids to be able to hear the show too, and maybe you're offended, but damn, sometimes it's just hard to emphasize a point. And it's hard to not quote Kenny Powers verbatim because that shit was genius. It's called Eastbound and Down if you're interested in looking it up, if you need to lighten up a little bit. I don't know if it'll suit your humor, but I found it to be quite hilarious. So what's required is surrender. That's the bitch of it. What's required is humility. It's to know that I don't know and to be okay with not knowing. Very difficult for the ego to do that. The ego wants to protect us. But as I said, it lacks wisdom. It's clever about doing it, but it's not wise. You know? The difference between being wise and clever is vast. You know, clever is deceptive, gets its way, but wise looks at the long game, and the ego doesn't see the long game. The ego sees, right now, I got to be safe. And if I can make you wrong, that's going to secure me. And that's a really horrible way to live. So over time, through that incremental practice of just little surrender by little surrender by little surrender, one at a time, observing the mind every single time the mind says, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. To slip in just one, it's wrong, but I'll accept it. You know, sometimes surrender is too much of a leap. You just have to accept something. Yeah, I can't surrender to global weather as a whole, but I can kind of accept that it's raining tonight. Right? So what the ego wants to do, this is so funny. Look at how dumb the ego is. The ego, when it complains about the rain, or the person, the job, the boss, the ex, the whatever, all it's doing is trying to make me feel superior to that thing. I mean, you think about how dumb that is? For me to go, psh, why'd they put the orange thing right there? The ego's going, we're going to be higher than the orange thing. I mean, it's literally so dumb. Really dumb. But if I haven't built the muscle of observation, built the muscle of acceptance, built the muscle of surrender, of awareness, of space, then I lose that choice. I don't have a choice to determine how I'm going to color reality. And when that choice is lost, then reality becomes so painful that for some people, not all, but definitely for this one, I got to find a way to get out. And the way you get out, most of the time, has consequences. Whether it's binging, an innocent escape route, like binging a TV show way later than you're supposed to, then you suffer the next day, but you just didn't want to feel what you were feeling. You didn't want to feel the repercussions of what your mind is telling you about your present reality, so you did the TV show. Or maybe you take it to another extreme and you smoke crack, or you shoot crystal meth in your neck. Some of us go to great lengths. Some of us just try to express it on other people. There are those people in the world that they're in so much pain because they have not had the gift of grace to learn how to manage thought and manage emotion, that they're so encumbered by it that the only solution that seems viable to get it out is just giving it to someone else, you know? I don't experience a lot of this firsthand, but I do get the odd troll on social media. And not many, because I'm just probably not famous enough. Or maybe I'm not as annoying as I think I might be sometimes. But I get the odd troll. And at first it used to really kind of bother me. And I would feel like, oh, really? Wait till you read this comeback. And I'm just going to devastate them and make them feel worse than I do. Why? Because now I'm hurt and it's too much hurt to hold. So I need to get it back on them. It's like a game of hot potato. Here's the pain. Oh, the pain. Take the pain back. And now, actually I did this this morning. It's fun. I actually really love this. I wish I would get trolled more because I really enjoy this. Not really, because it means someone's in pain, but someone was like being snarky and judgmental and sent me like a DM on Instagram that was, I don't know what it say. It was like, oh, they were criticizing one of my guests and really disparaging and they were being very insulting to one of the guests. It wasn't even me. They were just like, meh, 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 meh. I don't want to say it because, yeah, I will say it. Actually, bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I was like, she might be listening to this Sunday. I'm like, I hope so. No, she goes, why don't you ask her who the real writer of the book was, AKA the ghostwriter? Because I interviewed an author and I had the book on the table and we were talking about her book, which I felt was brilliant. I don't really care who wrote it. If she said she wrote it, she wrote it. That little thing, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sorry, I called her the B word. It's whatever. But she's being snarky and it's 51% negative. You know what I'm saying? For a second, I left it. I was thinking, I don't want to spend too much energy on this, because it's totally stupid and not worth it. But I'm trying to learn how to have more discernment as to how much time I do spend on something. And being able to use my gut to just go negative, delete. And not have to go, I don't know, should I? Well, maybe if I say this and we get in a conversation. No, I'm not talking to a nut that is in so much pain that they want to put someone else down for a work of art that they've put out into the world, you know? 51% is too much. It's either negative or positive. It's black or it's white. It's like you're either saying something positive and supportive or you're not. And if you're not, then it's negative. And if you're doing the negative, then that tells me that you're in a lot of pain and that the pain is too much and you're trying to toss that pain into my DMs. You know? And that's fine. But I'm not going to waste my precious time trying to teach someone that by saying, hey, you know what? Like, I think I'm going to block you because you're being a little negative. Or, what do you mean? Like, don't be a dick, bro. We're not having that conversation. I'm just going to see that and my heart's going to go, ooh, negative, poor person. I feel for them. I'm compassionate. They're in pain. But it's not my job to fix them. Go see a shrink. Go to yoga class. Do what you do. Take 50 ayahuasca doses, I don't care, but that's your shit, you know? I care about my life and I want to love everyone, including the toxic DM lady or whatever. She's probably like watching the live stream right now. But it's good, maybe there's a lesson there. I hope you're listening, lady, whoever you were that got blocked shortly after said discernment unfolded. But it's so fun to just not have time for that anymore. Because my mind has a reservoir of hatred and pain in it just like hers. I have scars, I have trauma, I have pain, I've been hurt a lot. I can access that real quick. And then both of us can express our trauma and our baggage and our pain on each other and increase the pain. Or we can just go, oh, what's that? 51% negative, block, bye. And then I'm out on the porch doing yoga in the rain going, oh my God, this is amazing. What a life. I'm freezing. This is awesome. See what I mean? It's like there's a choice. Every moment there's a choice. Negative, positive, negative, positive. Positive, positive, positive. Love. Where's the love? Where's the love? Where's the love? And in blocking the lady, all it is love. It's saying, cool, I'm going to give you the gift of probably hating my guts and resenting the hell out of me, which is going to get you closer to hitting the bottom of your pain. Because pretty soon, when you behave like that, pretty much everyone in your life is going to be like block, 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 and you end up sad and alone with a bunch of cats, if you're lucky. So why not just use love to just wake it up? Love block, boom. Block and bless. Block, bless. Block, bless. Not only does it work on Instagram, it works in life, you know? And this is where the spiritual bypass kind of thing comes in, where, see, it's not pretending like everything's good, not pretending like everyone's loving, not pretending like the world is perfect. It's about not choosing to energize the negativity. It's about choosing the highest love, which is a love that's unconditional of how reality seems to be presenting itself. And speaking of love, as we wrap up this portion of the program, I collectively and individually just love you guys so much. It's so much sweeter to have that experience, having experienced so much of the opposite for so long. And in that, I see the gift in the pain, and the gift in the suffering, and the gift in the shadow. Because had I not experienced so much of the shadow in my own life, the contrast of that love that I'm experiencing right now would be so much less. It would be kind of a muted gray general love for 48 years instead of abject self and other hatred for a good 26 to 30, and then a steady incline up to having less of that experience. Do you see what I mean? I'll close with this and give props to my boy, Yogi Bhajan, dearly departed. If you don't see God in all, you don't see God at all. Thank you guys for your kind attention.